The Day the Earthmen Came by Elizabeth Franco. Illustrated by Donna Cantonese. Characters: Moonlings, Moon Children, Level 6 students. Lunel, a student. Clug, a student. Snark, a student, Lunel's friend. Moonrow, a student. Judiana, the smartest student in the class. Teacher 6, a Level 6 or Grade 6 moon teacher. Rhonda, the museum's robot tour guide. RM1, RM2, and RM3. Recorded messages, only a voice. Stephen Bales, the voice of the head scientist for Apollo 11. Act 1, Scene 1. Outside the Apollo Museum of Moon History on the Moon, a group of 5 Level 6 moon children and their teacher are on a field trip to the museum. Lunel, talking to Snark. I do not understand why we had to come to this museum. What is so important about Earth people who came here about 40 Earth years ago? Snark. I agree. We have lived here all our lives. What is so special about Earthmen landing on the moon? Judiana. It is an important part of our moon history. We orbit around the planet Earth. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, placing the American flag on the moon. Act 1, Scene 2. Inside the main lobby of the Apollo Museum of Moon History. Rhonda, in a mechanical voice. Welcome to the Apollo Museum of Moon History. I am Rhonda, your robot guide. I will lead your tour of the Apollo Museum. Clug to Moonrow. She looks serious. Moonrow. She really does. Judiana, annoyed. Will you please be quiet? I would like to learn something today. And anyway, she is a robot. All robots are serious. Robots are machines. Rhonda, standing inside a recreation of the moon landing site under the American flag. This room is an exact copy of the Apollo 11 landing site. Rhonda presses a red button on the wall. RM1. On July 20th, 1969, Earth time, 3 Earthmen came to the moon for the first time. Their ship was called the Apollo 11. Your visit to the museum today will teach you about that special day. Act 1, Scene 3. The group is at the Apollo 11 landing site. Rhonda, does anyone have a question? Moonrow, how come Earth people never came to the moon before the year 1969? Judiana, their space program was still new. They were learning about space travel. Teacher 6. That is right, Judiana. Earth people did not know how to travel safely through space before then. Lunel to Rhonda. What happened next? Rhonda. Let's listen to message 2 about the Earth visitors, who were called astronauts. RM2. Neil Armstrong was the first astronaut to stand on the moon. Apollo's lunar spacecraft was called the Eagle. It carried Mr. Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to this spot where you are now standing. The moonlings are humming among themselves. Moonlings hum when they are happy or excited. The Eagle landed on a part of the moon called the Sea of Tranquility. Act 1, Scene 3 continues. Message 3 is playing. RM3. As Armstrong stepped onto the moon for the first time, he spoke these words. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Teacher 6. Does anyone know what these words mean? Judiana. They mean that Neil Armstrong took a small step when he stepped onto the moon from his spacecraft, but it was a great achievement for the people of Earth. Teacher 6. Did you know that a long time ago some people on Earth said that the moon was made of cheese? Snark. Why would they think that? Teacher 6. To some Earth people, maybe the moon looks like it has holes, like their Swiss cheese. Judiana. Those must be our craters. Teacher 6. Right again, Judiana. Buzz Aldrin is collecting moon rocks. Act 1, Scene 4. Still at the Apollo 11 landing site. Rhonda. Armstrong and Aldrin remained on the moon for only 21 hours. They took many photos. They collected moon rocks and moon dust to take back to Earth. Snark. Why did the astronauts want rocks and dust? Lunel. I know the answer to that. Earth scientists could study our rocks and dust and learn what the moon is really made of. Teacher 6. Very good, Lunel. That is how they learned that the moon is really not a ball of cheese. The moonlings hum. Let's follow Rhonda. She will be taking us to the Apollo 11 photo collection. The moonlings follow the guide. Act 2, Scene 1. Inside the Apollo 11 photo collection room. Rhonda. Please take a seat at one of the desks. The cap on each desk is a transporter cap. Once you put it on, you will feel as if you are inside one of these photos of the Apollo program. Snark. How do we get there? Teacher 6. You will not actually leave this room. It will only seem as if you are someplace else. Judiana. That sounds great. Can I go first? Moonlings. Yes, teacher, let her go first. The moonlings talking among themselves. That way we will know if the transporter cap is safe. The Saturn rocket carrying Apollo 11 begins its flight. Buzz Aldrin left his footprint on lunar soil. Act 2, Scene 2. The moonlings put on their transporter caps. Judiana. I want to lift off with the astronauts. Snark. What does lift off mean? Judiana. When a spaceship begins its flight from Earth, it is called lifting off. Snark. I want to leave my footprints in moon dust. Moonrow. I want to stay in the command module that continued to fly around the moon when the Eagle flew down here. Clug. I want to land the Eagle with Armstrong. Act 2, Scene 3. Moonlings, still sitting at their desks in the photo collection room, talk with Teacher 6. Teacher 6. Do you have any questions so far about the day the Earthmen came? Lunel. Why did they want to come here? Snark. They wanted to learn about the moon. Clug. Then why did they only stay for 21 hours? Moonrow. Their trip here was based on computer timing. They could not stay longer. Lunel. Did any other Earth people come to the moon after them? Teacher 6. Yes, Lunel. Altogether, there were 12 astronauts who came here on Apollo flights. Clug. Why didn't any of them ever come to live here? Didn't they like us? Rhonda. It has only been about 40 years since that day. Earth's scientists are still studying space travel. Maybe one day soon you will have an Earth person as your neighbor. Teacher 6. Well, moonlings, it is time for lunch. Let's follow Rhonda to the lunchroom. Moonlings follow Rhonda. Apollo 11 astronauts could see Earth from the moon's surface. Buzz Aldrin steps down to the moon's surface. Act 3, Scene 1. Everyone returns from lunch. They are now in an Apollo 11 classroom. Rhonda. This is an Apollo 11 classroom. To your left is an exact replica or copy of the Eagle. To your right is the Columbia Command Module. As you walk through these spacecraft models, you will see what the astronauts saw. You will feel what they felt as they traveled into space. Clug. Can we sit at the controls? Snark. Can we lift off? Rhonda. Yes, you may sit at the controls. No, you will not be able to lift off. If you look out the portholes or windows, you will see what these first human moon travelers saw the day they arrived on the moon. Judiana. I want to be an astronaut someday. Munro. Me too. Act 3, Scene 2. Still in the classroom. Rhonda. On your computers, you will find an Apollo 11 data disk. Take turns to read some facts about the Apollo 11 program. Munro. The space program in the United States, a country on Earth, is directed by a special agency called the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA. Lunel. There were a total of 17 Apollo space missions, or trips from Earth. Judiana. Apollo 11 was the first one to bring humans to the moon. Clug. Apollo 11 traversed 250,000 miles of space. Snark. The Apollo 11 mission cost the United States government about $100 billion. Rhonda. The Apollo 11 flight to the moon was unforgettable. In this last part of our tour, you will hear the voice of Stephen Bales. He was the head scientist for the mission. He will describe the final moments before the Eagle landed on the moon. The Eagle landed safely on the moon. Act 3, Scene 3. Same setting as in Scene 2. Voice of Stephen Bales. There were 15 minutes left before touchdown. Suddenly, a computer alarm went off. A yellow warning light came on. The Eagle's computer was overloading. 6 more alarms went off. Armstrong took the manual controls. He steered the ship over a crater to a smoother surface. The spacecraft kicked up a lot of dust. The astronauts could not see, but Armstrong continued. The Eagle's 4 legs touched the moon's surface. The Eagle had landed. Snark. Now I really want to be an astronaut. Munro. Me too. End Act 3. Final curtain. Talk about it. 1. Why was the Apollo 11 flight so famous? 2. What did the Apollo 11 astronauts do on the moon? Write about it. 3. What do you think it would be like to live on the moon? On a separate paper, list ways that life on Earth and life on the moon would be different. Make a chart. Extend language. Some words in English have more than one meaning. For example, the word space means the room or emptiness outside the Earth's atmosphere. But space can also mean a limited room for something to fit in. There is no space on the shelf for these books. Which meaning of space is used in this book?